Hello and welcome to the final ramble of May. I can't believe it's almost June. You wouldn't believe it from the weather, would you? But we had a lovely day on Wednesday. I hope it was like that down in Swanage, and I believe the sun is going to start shining now in half-term week. So at last, after such a long time, a bit of nice weather. It'd be very welcome indeed. I hope you've had a good week this week. My week has been pretty good. It's passed very quickly. I can hardly remember the things I've been doing. I had the dreaded second jab yesterday, and touch wood so far, I seem still to be feeling okay. I know a number of you escaped too much torment after your second dose. It's been a very frustrating week, hasn't it? After the government announcement that only 6 people could sing together. There have been an awful lot of petitions, there have been an awful lot of writing to MPs, to ministers. There's a lot of anger around about and puzzlement because it just doesn't make sense. I know that the guys that actually did all the medical research on aerosol with singing say that nothing has changed since the end of last year, so it makes no sense at all for the government to say that they're relying on the Public Health England and SAGE. The advice hasn't changed at all, so it just seems very, very odd indeed. However, unfortunately, John and I both feel that we're going to have to adhere to these guidelines for the time being. So it's looking like for St Mary's Choir we're not going to be able to get back to choir practice and to choral evensong until the last Sunday in June, which is I think the 27th, which seems an awful long way away, and it seems such a shame. Unless things change. If things change, we'll let you know, but otherwise I think that's what is going to happen, and we'll just have to have the rule of 6 in the morning for the next 4 weeks or so, which is such a shame, but there we go. A lot of people are suffering through this, which is crazy, really. Other than that, what else has happened this week? Yes. I don't know whether you caught Choral Evensong this week. It must sound like I listen to it all the time. I very rarely listen, actually, but I was travelling back from London on Wednesday, and I did happen to hear it. And it was from Westminster Abbey, and if you didn't hear it and you like listening to Choral Evensong, I'd give it a listen. It was a sort of tub-thumping one. It was a couple of blockbusters, so lovely psalm, and then they sang Walmsley in D minor, which we sing quite regularly, and then they sang the anthem For Lo I Raise Up by Stanford that I pointed to you to a few months ago, and a fantastic, really exciting, really exciting performance of both. But I did feel that there was an awful lot of testosterone flying around in the back row during that. And in fact, I happened to have a telephone conversation that very evening, perchance, with the BBC producer who produced Choral Evensong, who's a sort of serious producer, who's an old mate of mine. And we were talking about something else, but I said, because there was a technical problem and the line went down for a short time, and I was wondering whether, when they repeated it on Sunday, what they would do, whether they recorded it or whether they have to redo it. But I said to him, God, I don't know what the men were on in the Walmsley and indeed in the Stanford, but whatever it was, I wouldn't mind a bit of it as well. Goodness me, they were absolutely shrieking. And Ben said, yeah, as always, we agreed on a level, because you do a full rehearsal for Choral Evensong on the radio. We agreed on a level, and then when it came to the performance, they just completely forgot about it and just sort of sung their hearts out. I mean, it was very exciting, but once or twice, I have to say, I felt it was almost a bit too much. But there you go. So, that's Choral Evensong from Westminster Abbey. Worth a listen, just for the Walmsley. And the organ, terribly exciting too. So, where are we now? I'm losing the plot here. Yes, some silly facts. I've got 3 more silly facts for you, just to keep you amused. All famous composers. This week it features Rachmaninoff, Chopin and Puccini. What a selection. Anyway, Rachmaninoff, you probably know, Rachmaninoff was the most wonderful pianist, and you probably know that he had big hands, that he was sort of famed for having big hands. But what I didn't know, his hands were so big that they could span 12 keys on the piano, 12 white notes on the piano comfortably. So when you're next sitting at the piano, just see how far you can stretch, and then imagine what it would be like to stretch 12 notes, because that's what Rachmaninoff could do. Chopin is another piano connection here. Chopin was the most wonderful pianist, wonderful, brilliant pianist. But did you know that he only gave 30 live performances in his whole life? So to hear him play would have been pretty special. There you go. And here's a really silly one. Puccini. I love Puccini's music. His opera, just fantastic. Wrote so many great tunes. But what I didn't know, and I learnt this week, that Puccini was named after 4 of his recent ancestors. So, and I'm going to have to read this, his full name was Giacomo Antonio Domenico Michele Secondo Maria Puccini. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Giacomo Puccini. But yeah, that was his real name. I'm not going to repeat it, but there you go. Crazy, isn't it? So there are your 3 silly facts for this week. So www.swanishteam.com is the website where you can get all the latest details of what's going on in the parish of Warwick. We heard from the rector last week that the scaffolding and the work that's going on at that end of the church is progressing well, and they've discovered where the water's leaking in, and hopefully they can get that sorted. We can get the scaffolding down and everyone can comfortably come in and walk through the alleyway again. So that's good. But all the other details on the services, both online and in person, are on the website. So for my recommendation for this week, I was thinking it's Trinity Sunday this week, and I ought to recommend a Trinity piece. We were going to be singing Tchaikovsky, Hymn to the Trinity, but that's gone by the wayside now. I remember that last year I pointed you to perhaps my favourite Trinity Sunday piece ever, I Saw the Lord by John Stainer. So if you forgot about that and you want to listen to it again, have a listen with the lovely semi-chorus, O Trinity, O Unity, and the lovely middle section of the house was filled with smoke. There are not a huge amount of pieces specifically written for the Trinity, but so I'm going off at a slight tangent. One of the things that you can sing on Trinity Sunday is the Te Deum, and I was thinking about that. I think I pointed you to my very favourite ever Te Deum, which is Howell's Collegium Regale, which I just absolutely love. But another real favourite of mine is the Te Deum in C by Benjamin Britten. Britten wrote 2 Te Deums, the one in C and then a festival Te Deum in E, which is also wonderful. But the C major one is a very special piece. It's written 4-part choir, organ and treble soloist. It was written back in 1934, and I pointed you recently to his Jubilate in C, which the Duke of Edinburgh commissioned in 1961. So they've now become sort of companion pieces, but originally the Te Deum was conceived on its own. And it's quite extraordinary. It starts off really quietly. A lot of the Te Deums, We Praise Thee, O God, start off really loud, but Britten's C major starts off really quietly, and for about the first 3 pages it's all on a chord of C. Rather than using harmonic progression and changing the harmony, he sticks with the same chord of C major and puts it in different at different intervals, and there's a little ostinato figuration in the pedals at the beginning, and the whole thing is based around that. And you hear just these short bursts, we praise thee, oh God, oh God. And it sort of builds up, and it gradually builds up in intensity and dynamic until you get to holy, 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 and when everything bursts forward, you know, the Trinity there, holy, holy, holy. And then it subsides, and then you get this beautiful treble solo, Thou art the King of Glory, O Christ, and just little answering phrases from the choir. And that's really lovely, the middle section. And then it comes back to the ostinato figuration, the really quiet C major. And it moves around there a little bit, but it finishes off really nice and quietly as well. So it's a really magical piece, just a slightly different approach to the hymn of praise, the Te Deum. So I encourage you to listen to the recording. I was trying to find a set of music for it, but I can't see anything that I don't have to pay for. Lots of money. Britain's a state. So I'm afraid you're just going to have to listen to it. But there are one or two recordings on YouTube, but the one I've chosen, I think you can hear it nice and clearly. Well worth a listen. That's Britain in C, Te Deum, and I hope you enjoy it. So now a little bit of singing later in the day, and let's see how we get on. Hold on a second. Right, so I'm sitting nice and comfortably, nice straight back, shoulders down, nice and relaxed, feet on the floor, straight back. If you're standing, make sure your knees are not locked. Have a little wiggle if you like. Okay, so let's start quite low, and we're just going to do some sliding fifths. So we're going to start off humming, and then we're going to go to E, and then we're going to go to R. So we're going to start off going like this. Alright, like that. So we just go up in steps. See, to humming, 3, 4. Change to E. Change to R. You slide R. Let's change back to E. And back to R. One more. How was that for you? Good. All right. Let's do C blue car. Okay. C blue car, 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 C blue car. C blue car, 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 C blue car. Jolly good. And let's just do a few triads. Going. Top B flat, if you got that comfortably, not bad for a Friday. Good, just a very short little warm-up session there for you. So maybe I will see you on Sunday. If not, I hope it won't be too long before I see you again, and let's all keep our fingers crossed that it won't be too long before the government allows us to get together for a bit more singing in a larger group than we are at the moment. But until then, stay safe, keep smiling and enjoy the sunshine.